Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today with us, Angel Ribo, CEO consultant, TV host, international public speaker, and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation, is joining one more time the wonderful Sunny Chase. And she is not only the host of this show, but also the host of ABC Solutionary Sundays. She is the feature writer and chief strategist for the Whole Life Times magazine, the longest running conscious life magazine in America. Sunny is a producer, moderator, and myth buster. Before starting with them, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world, and you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that is going to benefit from the content that we're going to be talking here today. Also, while we are live streaming, like right now, we have the active chat. Is the screen that you're going to be seeing here on my side. And through there, you can interact with us, enter your questions. We just please ask you to follow the format, word question before the actual question. Last but not least, we want you to visit Mindalia Televisao and Mindalia Televisión, where as the same way as we are broadcasting information daily in Mindalia TV, we broadcast information through those channels in Portuguese, Spanish, and English every single day of the week, and information as interesting, as important as the one you see daily on Mindalia TV. We also want you to collaborate with us with your own valuable content. And for that, you can go to our website. You're going to find the link on the top of the screen. The link says collaborate with Mindalia. It's going to take you to a form that you can fill out for our technical team to get in contact with you. I'm not going to delay this show any further. I'm going to leave you with Angel, Sunny, and a very special guest, which you will be introduced shortly. Angel, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. Welcome, Sunny. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you very much, Mirna, for the introduction, and welcome to Mindalia TV. Welcome back, Sunny. How are you?
I'm doing great here in LA. It's pouring rain, so it's sort of very exciting here, and getting ready for the holidays. It's the time of lights. It's the holiday of lights, the holy days. So I feel like I'm kind of in the holy days already, Angel. I'm kind of doing that for myself this year. I'm giving myself that gift of allowing myself to not feel stressed and crazy about the holidays, and enjoying and having fun with it. So I usually do that, but sometimes I get a little stressed. So this time I'm really giving myself the permission to just enjoy and get invited to things and actually go to them, and just start having some fun.
Well, and I see that the fountain of wealth is actually pouring onto you, so that's great news as well.
I went to an event last night with our lovely, lovely sister, Dr. Jenna, who we had on the show on Thanksgiving Day, speaking of holidays. And it was for a Conscious Good film festival. It was the closing night, and it was absolutely fantastic. All these great films that the people did. And Sister Jenna was one of the hosts, and she says hello, by the way, and adores you.
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
So it was a great, it was sort of a great beginning of the fun, and also to see all these wonderful filmmakers that are making small films, like 5, 6, 7-minute films with great impactful stories. And it was just so great to know that there are people, all of us, I feel like, are really turning to that more, with our entertainment, like the show we're creating today, perhaps, as an example.
Exactly. It's funny, like the universe, every time, as everybody knows here on Mindalia TV, every week, every Thursday, you and I meet here and we bring amazing guests. But it's funny, like every week, the universe, kind of comes together with us, and all the stories of that particular week actually coincide. So it's funny because this weekend I'm going to be, behind the scenes. I'm going to be actually shooting the behind the scenes of a movie that is going to be, shot here, recorded here in the Dallas area, and the movie is about fear. It's about fear knows no bounds. That's the title of the movie. And the main goal of the movie, let's say it's a non-conventional movie, and the filmmaker Jeff Vogt has invited us to be there. But the funny, he has two goals with this movie. Speaking of movies and amazing impact in society, number one is this upcoming season, this holiday season, no more veteran suicides, no more veteran suicides. And number two, he was willing to reach out to 1 million people so they start changing where they are today and they start overcoming their fears. So those are the two goals of this movie, and it's going to be shot here in Dallas, the Dallas area, this upcoming weekend. So it's funny, like we have both been in the filmmaking world for this week, and definitely it's a world that changes lives every single day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it is something to talk about as far as this time of the year, because it really does seem to heighten and just laser focus our emotions, either in a great happy way or in a really sad way. You know, so many people perhaps not being able to be with the people they're with. You know, there's that song, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. And it always makes me cry because there's a line in it where it says, um, uh, until we get to be again, you know, we'll muddle through somehow. You know, hopefully we'll be together next year. Until then, we'll muddle through somehow. And some of the people replace that with hang a shining star upon the highest bough, to not have that line. But originally it was written that way, you know, sort of because the holidays can be all of it. And I just know I've had that too, where I haven't been able to be with members of my family at times or whatever, and it's just so painful. And so I invite everybody to, when you're in that situation, to just remember this is the season of light, and the season of lights right now, we're in Hanukkah right now as we speak. And we really can celebrate ourselves and just celebrate whatever we have near us and whoever we have near us. Maybe there are people around us who are also in that situation. We never really noticed that before, and we can gather with our family who are right in our midst. So I just offer that as a suggestion, because I know it can be painful and wonderful.
Yes, it's a moment in the year to probably, like, set aside the differences, like, just, there's differences, maybe there's things that we're not necessarily in agreement with. There's been circumstances, but still, just open the heart and, count on what unites us as opposed to what separates us. And have, I mean, you don't have to have those tough conversations maybe, but at least open your heart, and just, be in a space in which you really want to share your unconditional love with everybody else around you.
Yes, I was watching yesterday the political. Actually, our president George Bush, from our 41st president, passed away, as everyone knows, and I watched the ceremony, and it was absolute, in my humble opinion, perfection. I wasn't a big fan of his in the olden days, actually. And yet, when I was watching everything that happened, in the last week or so, I've had many history lessons about what George Bush actually did accomplish for a country. And, like, for example, signing in the Citizen of Disabilities Act, which has changed the lives of millions of people in this country for 2 decades now, and many, many other things. And to just see the love and the honor and the humor and the respect and the camaraderie. It was just, I mean, I just had tears in my eyes the whole 2 hours. And so, again, like you're saying, sort of putting aside our differences, but really finding our common humanity. This is what I feel this holiday season is all about, starting sort of Thanksgiving through January 6th, the fortnight. I believe. So that's what I think about all that.
Awesome. So, speaking of humanity, I think that we have a very special guest. So would you mind?
We do.
And exactly revealing who we have today with us.
Well, I wanted to get an actual lovely introduction for her because sometimes there's just so much to say, and I want to make sure that I get it all out. So, Deborah Grene is actually a friend of mine. I've been working with her for many years now on a lot of projects, and I'm so grateful to have her on the show today. And she is known as a peace traveler, and she's also the founder and CEO of an organization called Live a Moment, which is so perfect because that's exactly what you and I have just been talking about. This organization, Live a Moment, is dedicated to creating and funding peace initiatives around the world. She's also really a rockin' writer. She's a really great writer, educator, and international speaker, and just a wonderful humanitarian and creative soul. She's a great, great producer and has a great artistic aesthetic and everything. And so let's bring her on and we'll find out more about her.
Excellent. Welcome to Mindalia TV, Deborah.
Deborah.
Hi, hello. How are you?
Hi.
Very well, thank you. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so were you hearing what we were chatting about before?
Mm-hmm.
Great, absolutely. So jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, filmmaking is a big piece of what we do. You know, we've traveled all over the world interviewing people about their state of peace. And I'd love to talk to you further about that because I do think that to be able to weave together the stories, you know, outside of religion and politics and just get back to the I feel, you feel, I breathe, you breathe, and to do it in these bite-sized ways. You know, I love Trina as well as Sister Jenna. Trina runs Conscious Good Media, you know, and so we're definitely simpatico on that, you know, go deep and brief in these storytelling. But I did want to reflect on what you were talking about. I was really moved yesterday too, and I had the honor to go to an event in Maine for the Barbara Bush Literacy Foundation just a couple months ago. Oh. And I was sitting in the room, and I'm a Democrat, and I'm sitting in the room, and I had the ability to sit and witness just this love that was coming from around all the family members and the people towards the family members. And I kept thinking, God, we got to get out of our bubbles and be able to see the humanity, the relationships, you know, on all sides. And if we just stay in our one side, we don't get to see just how similar we are, that we're all filled with love and fears and foibles. And yeah, so it was a really.
Oh, you know, I was going to say something about that, Deborah, that I was thinking about when you know, we often talk about how we live in bubbles, you know, we who lived in Marin or we who live in LA or, you know, in our communities, in our bubbles, and how we're sort of lucky to have a lot of like-minded people around us and how we chat so much in our, like we say, we chat with our choir. And I've been reading a lot lately, off and on, you know, for a couple of years now about really, you know, some people call me the Mythbuster, and sometimes I call myself the Mythbuster because sometimes what we know or what we think we know, we can change our mind, or we can actually learn things when we chat with other people, where we find out that there is really a deeper truth, or what we thought was true isn't actually really true. So what you're saying about being in that room with the Bush family, and you being a Democrat, you know, just chatting and finding out, wow, there are truths that I never allowed myself to possess.
I feel so lucky that I got to go down the road that I've gone down in the last couple of years. As you know, we hit the road and traveled around the country right before the election in 2000, the presidential election in 2016. So it was a literal by car, 9,000 miles around the United States. We hit 40 states and interviewed hundreds of people. And I'm a very open person to begin with. I typically am that person that, you know, the crazy person will come and talk to you and cry on their shoulder, you know, or whatever. People just like to talk to me, you know, and tell me stories. And so it was a perfect thing for me to do. And yet it opened me up even deeper. to be able to meet my country in that way and speak to people and sit in rooms where I was the only one that wasn't packing, you know, or I was, you know, I went to hospitals, I went to vet centers, I went to Standing Rock, I went to, you know, I hung out with the gangs in Chicago. I went all over, and it was really interesting to see, and it was a really compelling thing that it was a matter of how I stood in myself that allowed people to open up and vice versa, as opposed to standing in my beliefs or standing in my opinions, you know, which could create a divide. Instead, I stood in a perspective of position of I feel, you feel, and it shifted the entire conversation. It was probably the most impactful time for me personally in my life to have that opportunity. And now we're going all over the world to create a tapestry of human emotion. So we have them separately. We have them, each of the interviews are now in 3-minute moments, and they're organized by emotion. So you could plug in a word like love, and all the images of people talking about love come up, and you can listen, or grief, and all the people talking about grief, you know, so you can literally look across a line of not just belief, but perhaps even a line of combat, and recognize that we're the same, you know?
Well, I want to interject, but I feel Angel, he's one of our best listeners in the world. Anyone I bring to this show always just speaks so beautifully about Angel. So I feel a question from you, Angel.
Oh, thank you. Yes. You know, I mean, your entrance to the show has been really powerful. I mean, everything that you've just said is just so much supportive to everybody. You know, we love at Mindalia TV to help people. We love that every single show is going to be that particular sentence. There's going to be that particular idea, that particular concept that's going to resonate with them so much. That's going to change their lives forever. And that happens to us every single week. So could you like share with us a little bit more who you are? I mean, how did you ended up doing what you do today? So, you know, we know more about Deborah Grene.
Oh, thanks. Like everybody else, I think when they find their real path, it's a long journey to get there. But for me, you know, there was a lot of experience around technology and feeling as though we were missing the point of it, and feeling as though there was a true ability for us to connect even deeper than what we have. And that's where we started. I started working on an app, and the app is called Live a Moment, and it allows you to connect with people on the daily in moments of pause, best self versus self-interest. And the idea is that we all take moments of pause collectively around the planet, plug in 3 words of how you feel, and then it maps out the global consciousness at any given moment. And for me, and it's free. And the idea is to get people to vibrate on a higher level. And the only thing that cost, if there is a cost in the app, is that we ask that you donate to organizations who are boots on the ground doing work around the planet. And my feeling was, how do we take this technology and be able to connect us on a deeper level in a way that actually helps me in the real world, so that when I step away from my technology, I'm a better person, you know, that I have a deeper understanding. And so that for me came from, honestly, it came from a loss in my life. And I was going to adopt a baby from Haiti. And in the last moments, I wasn't able to after a 3-year journey, and it broke my heart. And I really needed to reach beyond and connect to people from heart to heart to get me through that. And in doing so, all of this journey came to be. And from that, I'm realizing, you know, that there's this is a different type of mothering that I'm doing on the planet. And that I'm, you know, I recognize that I am on the planet to walk this walk, to, you know, bring people back to their emotions and their hearts, that there are no negative emotions, that loss, grief, love, they're all part of the same plate. And if we can become more comfortable with them, perhaps we can become more comfortable with each other.
there's so much needed, and thank you, by the way, Sunny. You always read my mind for some reason. I don't know. so thank you. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a filmmaker, and he was saying, "Why don't we organize some sort of movement?" So on January 20, was it January 21st? What day is it that they swear in Capitol Hill the new?
Oh, January 20th.
January 20th. Okay, so why don't we like gather in the thousands, or just stop our life like for 5 minutes, 30 minutes that day, when everything starts, and we all intend with peace and love in our minds to think something like it's going to be the best, Capitol Hill, ever in the history of this country. Why don't we intend for that? What do you think? What comes to your mind, Deborah?
Well, you literally read my mind. I'm going to. I have changed my next month, and I'm going to DC starting in January, and we are doing Monday Moments of Pause. And the idea is that we all collectively take a moment before our work week to focus in best self versus self-interest, and then literally put in the emotions and see how we're doing. So we're looking to have people speak, and so we do it every Monday. Ideally, everybody does it every day, but the goal for us is out of Washington, D.C., right in the midst. Let's pause and take a moment, the beginning of every week, and it's specifically leading up to that date and continue on after. But that, so you'd mind melt exactly where we are.
Sunny, why don't we do something like this? Why don't we start pulling some people in, and we try to set something up for. I mean, you have so many connections, so amazing. You, Deborah, have so many amazing connections and friends and influential people and influencers, and I humbly have the same. So why don't we do something like this? Like at the moment that how would you say that properly? They take charge. They swear. How is that?
The swearing in ceremony.
Yeah. So when they get into that place, like I don't know, if we know it's going to be 11:45 a.m. Easter time on January 20th.
Yes.
Why don't we organize something like, and we can even use why don't we use the app? So everybody logs into the app. How do they feel? And they feel love, and they feel compassion, and they feel, peace, and they feel acceptance. Oh my God, acceptance,
Yeah. Hope, fears. Yeah.
What do you think, Sunny?
Yes. I so love this idea. Let's do it. We're so doing it so much, because I also think, there is, let's absolutely do it. And what we can do is we can really, really focus on, the creative connections that these human beings have. They may be independent, Democrat, Republican, whatever they are, but they're all human beings first. They all came from a mom and dad somehow. They all have lungs and hearts and everything the same. Of course, we have so much more the same than different. And for us to just really allow our people to know and be the better angels, and know that they are our civil servants, and they are working for the better good for every single person in this country. And let's absolutely 100% know that that is what they're going to wake up every day and know that that is what their job is. Something that they said, I'll just finish quickly by just saying, it made me think of it with George Bush, when they were saying that, when he was running for president, he said, read my lips, I will not raise taxes. And then the Congress and different people came to him with all these ideas of things that they wanted to do. And they said, but the only way to do these things is to raise, we need a bit more revenue. And he said, if we raise taxes, I'm gonna look like a fool. I'm gonna look, I'll probably lose the next election. But the better thing for the people is to do that. And indeed, that is what happened. But he raised above, and he thought of people. And we can know that all of our people who have been elected can think that way. So I'm for it 1,000%.
So we have been, and as you know, we've been working on this thing called the Global Pause. And so we've been doing these events, and that's what we're doing on the app, is looking to create what we're calling the global pause. And can people find their humanity within their job again? Like, because, and I think that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to doing in January, is humanizing their job. Like, they're so in their bubble, but what if they have this data from all over the world where they see people's emotions and their emotion? Because it's almost like what happened during the Kavanaugh hearings, when the senator got cornered by somebody and it affected them so deeply. That's what this could do in bulk. You know, I mean, we're not even talking about the energetics of it, or, you know, as far as like the global coherence and things like that. We're just talking about having somebody register, oh my God, there are all these people basically praying for me to do my job, you know, from an emotional place where there's an emotional feedback loop for those guys. And what about the individual elsewhere? You know, yes, we're doing it around, yes, hope for these senators, but we're also doing it to remind us to be more empathetic in our own life. And what will it do to the conversations that we're going to have just after I take that moment when I go out and I see somebody on the street and I register, wow, I can see on a map that this area, my town, actually is in pain or in grief, or will I view that person on the street? I get chills slightly differently, you know? And I don't want to keep talking, but there are so many examples that we have. Yeah,
please keep talking.
There's
Deborah.
so many examples we have.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy, Deborah. Come on. You are the guest here.
But I get really amped when I start talking about this, you know? Like, there's a woman who uses it with her child who is on the spectrum, and this child has some anger issues, and the mother takes a 3-minute pause with this child and then helps the child pick her emotions afterwards. And the child was able to go through, there are 6 categories. There's hope, love, happiness, sadness, fear, anger, and numbness. And then there are 11 different emotions within each category that kind of go from a low grade of that emotion to a high grade. And the child was like, okay, mommy, what does grace mean? What does this mean? So learning emotional intelligence to this little girl who now, when she gets worked up, actually says to her mother, mommy, can we take a moment? And like, I just, beautiful. Part of me feels like, okay, my job's done. I did something good, you know? Like, and now.
I was just going to say, I want people to really understand what we're talking about. I mean, this is an actual physical app that people can get on their phones. So if you don't mind giving us a little bit of the, you know, kind of nuts and bolts here.
Sure.
So that when we can follow with you, we know we can actually do it for ourselves.
Yes, and we can talk about some of the people who are on the app, like Sister Jenna.
Right.
And
so it's physical. We get it on our iPhone.
So as of this date, it's on the iPhone. It's called Live a Moment. You'll find it all one word. It's called the Live a Moment app. And the Android will be coming out, and hopefully by that date. That's what we're going for, the January 20th date. The app is. There's different categories. We had filmmakers from all over the world. My thing is, gurus come in every shape and size. And I think of them often, I think of artists as our gurus. And I also think of the person on the street as our everyday guru, right? The everyday pieces of wisdom. I love me Deepak, I do, and the Oprahs of the world, and they have changed my life with the things that they've said. But also that cab driver in New York changed my life with the thing that he said. And so I have, on the app, we have moments where people have shared wisdom that you can listen to for 3 minutes. We also have these beautiful meditations from the likes of Sister Jenna and Dr. Sue Morter and Mark Coleman and Lori Schwambeck and Tracy Stanley. I mean, just amazing people. Sylvia Borstein, people who've come in to give us words on those moments. I mean, what happens if something happens in the world, and instead of having to wait till Sunday, we can all just immediately get this alert that says, let's take a pause. And we all hear words of wisdom that we need to hear to de-escalate the emotions on the planet in any given moment. So the app has that ability. It also has...
So may I ask, Deb, sorry. So in other words, are you saying, is it one of those things where we can like set it on our phone, you know, like,
Yes.
so it can go off every hour or every 3 hours or something like that? Oh, cool. Okay.
Yes. So it's I'm trying to regulate. Top of the hour is the moment that I'm looking for people to set their clock to, and we can also send an alert to people to say this might be a moment for us all collectively. But you can put it into your time to say once a day or twice a day, I'm going to take this meditation with the world, like the International Day of Peace. The United Nations International Day of Peace happens every September 21st. And we are now in partnership with Pathways to Peace, which is an organization who helped create that 30 years ago. So the idea is maybe at this point, we don't wait until next year. Maybe we do it on the daily. And we now have this application that can allow you to do that.
So the meditations so the pause, so when you say there's a 3-minute pause or a 1-minute pause, that means it's not just quiet pause, but it would be like music and visuals and stuff that we watch.
So we've gone out pretty wide on this because I think people pause differently. So there's a place called Stillness in the app, and that just has prayer bowls and very, very minimal video. You know, it's just like color waves. So if you're one of the people who wants to close their eyes, and that you got that. We also have artists who've gone all over the world to create moments from around the planet. So you can take a moment in Pakistan or in Georgia or in Wyoming. And I love that because it's not just a pretty sunset. You're actually, again, empathy. You're putting yourself in a place on the planet and saying, oh, this is what peace feels like in Iran. This is what peace feels like in India. So you have a beautiful, you know, video for 3 minutes of a gorgeous place on the planet. And then we have the led meditations that are led by these wonderful teachers and everyday gurus that we have. So you choose, you know, because every top of the hour, you might feel like you need something different.
Well, what's cool about that, I think, is that it just made me think about when you were saying that. I was thinking, you know, we have the ability, like, for example, if somebody, I was just visiting one of my dearest friends who's the founder of the Umbamwe Center in Africa, and she had a fall in Jesse's place, and she just came back, and I went to visit her in the hospital, and I thought, gosh, there's nothing on the walls in here. It's just depressing. So she just keeps kind of going to sleep because there's nothing to see in her with her outer eye. And I was thinking how perfect for her if she could watch, she could connect with Pakistan or India or, you know, any place around the world, Germany, somebody on a boat going down a river, and she can be in that place because, you know, we know that that's what we can do. We can just imagine it, and we're actually, our body can just be there. She can be on that raft going down the river, looking up at those trees or whatever. Ooh, I'm going to give that app to her immediately.
Wow.
So like that. So people who are wherever can join and really be in those places.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, this is just so powerful. And I mean, there's so many things coming to my mind right now that probably I would, you know, we would kind of stall the show here, but there's so many things that we can do. No, I mean, obviously, I mean, there's if you know the number one, every single day on Saturday, it's going to be my 365th day that I intend daily. There's something called the Power of 8. A lady called Lynn McTaggart. She has something called the Intention Experiment, and she conducted worldwide experiments to lower violence in areas in the world that were in war. So 1 year ago, I went to an event of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I had just read the book from Lynn McTaggart, and we started a group called the Power of 8. So 8 of us meet every single day, and we intend we have a weekly intention, but we have been meeting every single day for the last 51 weeks to intend for something. So, and that comes to my mind, for instance, because obviously, I mean, maybe she already has thousands of people around the world that might be willing to join. Something else that comes to my mind, obviously, I think visualization is extremely important. Besides at that very precise moment, sending love and sending, you know, all those feelings that you mentioned and you described very well, Deborah, before, and you, Sunny. Obviously, there's a lady called Natalie Ledwell. She has the mind movies. I don't know if you're familiar with the mind movies. So it's okay, awesome. So it's a tool. Basically, she's been able to put a platform in which you can build your own movies, in which you put together, you know, videos and images and music, so that you literally start generating those feelings, those emotions about the reality you want to create. It's called Mind Movies. The lady is from Australia. She lives in Southern California, by the way.
Oh, nice.
But why don't we kind of even ask her if she was? I mean, this is just like a jam session, right?
Right.
It's happening. We are creating something. So why don't I reach out to her and tell her, why don't you create with all? I mean, obviously because you are the expert. Why don't you create a mind movie that we can start circulating all over the place, all over the world, to get ready for that moment in which, you know, Senate, that's what they have to do on January the 20th. Obviously, the Hard Math Institute comes to my mind as well. Obviously, right? And I'm sure that there's plenty of other people, again, influential people. That, I mean, what an example could we give everybody if we just started this? You know, what an example that people from all different avenues, people that really cared about this world, like about this planet, about this environment, this nature, all we come together for, you know, intending for, let's say, the most powerful group of men that are going to define the future of this country.
I love that. Okay, guys out there who are watching this show, send your ideas to Angel and me. And we're going to make it happen and funnel them to Deborah so she's not bombarded.
No, bombard me. That's fine. I mean, here's the thing is that there's so many ways to use this. I mean, you can use it, you know, the power of prayer. If somebody's sick and you line it up with your friends so everybody is simultaneously praying and you can see how everybody's feeling and everybody, you know, so it's generating that kind of love, you know, or healing. I think about it in the hospitals, you know, what you were, Sunny, what you were talking about, and like people are in rooms similar to what I look like I'm in right now, you know, and side by side, they're having these lonely experiences. And what if they can hop on and have their own group of people who are in a hospital or by the bedside of somebody and feel connected? One that I want to really put out there that I want to see is, can you imagine if we use this across a boundary of war? You know, so forget the politicians, forget the governments and the armies. If the people paused simultaneously and decided, you know what, once a day, we're going to create our own ceasefire at noon, and we're going to plug in on this app and remember our best selves. And you start looking across the border on the phone and you can see how many people are feeling your emotion. It humanizes the enemy, right? Those are the moments where there's like that 100th monkey thing where it could just shift. Like we're right. So I say, don't wait till January 20th. You know, let's start taking these moments daily now and start start building up, you know, building it so that we're at that place that when they see it happen, they're like, done. I can't believe it, you know.
I agree, and practice is extremely important doing this. You know, in the beginning, I have to say, in the beginning, I was even myself skeptical when I started to do this. But eventually, well, as you know, it's like meditating, right? I mean, when you do it consistently, suddenly you reach places with your awareness that you never thought you were going to be reaching. So, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Please say again, is there, besides the app, is there a website, is there a Facebook page? What else? I mean, what else can we find about? I mean, what can we go? Excuse me, to find.
So we do have a Facebook page. We're getting we're starting to get it out there. It's starting to increase pretty quickly. So it's called Live a Moment. Again, it's all one word on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's _Live a Moment _. So you could find us that way. And feel free, I have people who can help me. Feel free to just contact me. My name's Deborah, DEBORAH @liveamoment.com. And then we can all get together and figure out the best way to just grow it. I think I can say this to you guys, just you two. No, I'm just kidding. And I can say this to the audience. My goal, the real goal behind this, I believe that if we can hit mass, that there can be a shift in how we handle our personal lives and our political lives, and how we handle the concept of peace on the planet. And I think and so I keep saying it is one moment at a time. It is an epic but simple experiment that we're about to embark on. And that I do believe that we can get there. It's just quantifiable as we move forward. That's the goal, is that shift.
Well, may I, Deborah, I know you and I have talked about that. Thank you. That's a beautiful goal, and I feel like it's already happening. So I think it's a goal that is not only attainable and not only necessary, in my humble opinion. I so in my heart want it. I want that goal to happen. And we do have some proof of that with, for example, the peace troubadour James Twyman, who some of you may know goes to different places that are very dangerous with his incredible music and guitar playing and vocal voice. Oh my God, he's amazing. And he's been on the show a few times for me, and he's been, he goes to Gaza, he goes to North Korea, and he does exactly what you're saying with music and with pausing.
I think you just paused.
Yeah, exactly. She was so much about pausing that she paused. Exactly. Anyway, so before Deborah, you were able to, while we hope that Sunny will come back to the show, but when you were talking about the app, and you were talking about this amazing possibility of people all over the world to see what feelings are right now being felt everywhere in the world, and how actually we can change that. When you started to develop that app, what was the idea that you had in mind? What was that thing that triggered you to do this?
I was sitting at a dinner table where it was the first time where, so this is about 5 or 6 years ago. And people sat down, and I said, the modern day place setting is now fork, knife, spoon, phone, all the way around the table.
Exactly.
It's an appendage. And I jokingly said, would you put on an app that just randomly turned off your phone for 3 minutes? And the dialogue that came out of that was, and these are intelligent people, and people were mad. They got heated and emotional. How can you turn off my phone? And what if this happens? And what if that happens? And I said, well, what did we do before? What you left your kids and something happened and a neighbor took care of it, or you're someplace and something happens to you and you have to depend on the kindness of strangers. And we've lost our ability to look at the person across from us, So that was the beginning of it for me, of really feeling like there's got to be a tool, and that's something that we really study. We've worked with some amazing people. We worked with Y Media Lab, which is one of the best firms around, and we're looking into like, what is the perfect amount of time to be on the app? Other apps might look to have you on long. That's not it for me. I want to get you in. I want to ignite something in your soul that then makes you put the app down and have a better conversation with Angel, right?
Yeah.
And so how do we do that? And so that was the beginning of it for me. I also feel like empathy is the main. There's a lot of talk about it recently and a lot of studies done, but it's the main piece that this technology is actually in the way of building, that we might know more about like what you ate for lunch, but I'm not learning how to have a better conversation and feel you as a human being. And so can we find little ways to use the technology actually to rebuild our empathy? And that's why there's a number of things that we've done in it that help with that. You don't get to see who's on it. Your information is your own. And it's like what I call the global unknown. So you don't get to see a face like, bubble up. It's just dots reflecting their emotions. And that's almost more powerful for me, I think, because like when I first started, there's now every now and then there's only 5 or 10 people when you go on, and somebody picked the same 3 emotions as me in Biloxi. And it really struck me that that's the only piece of information I had, because it makes me wonder about everybody I see. So we're very subtly trying to seed new ways to stretch our humanity, new ways to stretch our empathy muscle. And like knowing that, you're seeing a mosque in India, or you're seeing the waterfall is actually in, where it is on the planet. Like, just those are the things that I'm interested in, and I'm very interested in to continue the conversation with other people who have different insights into how it could be used.
Have you, Sunny? Do we have you back?
Do you
Sunny?
have me?
Awesome. Yes, we do.
You are.
Yeah, we can hear you. Let me ask Deborah a question, because I just like I heard something, and probably more than our audience and than myself. I heard that actually someone has like different devices installed all over the world, and when something happens, they are able to measure, right, the energy, right? They are measured even like kind of the emotional level or state of particular areas in the planet. I mean, I read about it, but I don't know anything else. Could you please share whatever you know about this, please?
Are you asking me or Sunny?
No, I'm asking you, Deborah. Excuse me.
Yes, absolutely, and it's through HeartMath as well. I mean, it's the concept of global coherence, and
Exactly.
we're very, very interested in aligning all of the data on that. Again, it's to better humanity. It's we're keeping our data very contained, and it's really important to us about how it's used. But I think that is a true measure, literally, of our humanity and how it can change around the planet. Again, Angel, you're like this with me. You're like, it's exactly the way that we want to use it, and we are actually developing something that somebody can wear to be a part of that, and that's something that we're really interested in doing as well, because I think that's that moment that we were just talking about when does it shift? Like, can we actually get that moment where
there's a critical mass? Exactly. There's a critical mass that if we reach that critical mass, definitely everything would change forever.
Yeah.
And exactly. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Sunny.
Can I ask you guys a question as I'm thinking and listening to you? When we're talking about critical mass and the 100th monkey and the tipping point, and one of the things that I hear a lot in my work, doing the shows and just being with all the people that I'm with a lot of very positive people, but I'm also, who see the world from a positive place. And I also speak to people who say, well, gosh, kids are always on their phone and they don't connect anymore. And, there's a lot of negative talk about the world status in our humanity. And what I'm finding is that there are more and more places, at least I'm being exposed to them. I'm hearing about them. Maybe I'm attracting them. Maybe I want to see them, where I'm seeing people doing good all over the place, everywhere. And so I'm thinking that, that's one of the things, Angel, I love that we do on this show and then my ABC show too, is to let everybody know and to kind of take a pause and have a feeling of hope and goodness about humanity, that there is actually a lot happening. So if we know that, I feel then we don't feel so much like we're salmon swimming upstream. And then when we have the app, like the Live a Moment app, we add to it. We know when we're going on it that we're actually gathering and we're making a difference. But the difference is already happening. We're not alone. We're not isolated. We're not just fighting against something, but we're with it. We're all actually going the same direction. We just don't always know that. So I want to, beat that drum. So I just wonder if you guys agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it, is to recognize, when people have said, well, why don't you measure how people are feeling before they take their moment versus after they take their moment? And, we may do that at some point to show the difference of how meditation or taking a pause actually affects you. But I also feel like what I'm trying to do is exactly what you said, which is saying, see the result of just this small moment. And yet I've had a friend who said particularly, there's this concept of ours called 3 feet of peace, which is simply about the 3 foot circumference around you. Like, this is your bite-sized world. Can you create 3 feet of peace around you, and I'll create my 3 feet of peace? And it's doable. Like, world peace is actually in 3 foot increments. And she said, I love that idea, but there are sometimes I don't feel peaceful, and I don't want to, be a bummer on the app, And I said, that's peace to me, is being in accord with how you feel. So instead of denying that you're sad or angry, that's where you have dissonance. You're not peaceful. You're at odds with yourself. But if you can at least identify and go, no, I'm in grief, I'm in loss, I'm in sadness, there's an accord that happens, right? And there's less dissonance, and that's peace. That's fundamentally peace. And that is on point with 3 feet of peace. In my head, there is no positive and negative emotions. There are just some that are a lot more fun than others, but they're all signposts of, something that's genuine, that lives within us. And so I think that's an important thing to note too, is look at all the positive things that are happening on the planet, but look at all the human things that are happening on the planet as well.
So many.
Absolutely, I agree. We're really close to the end of the show. Unfortunately, the time has been flying fast today. So, before we go, again, could you remind us, Deborah, where can people find you? Where can we find you? Where can we find your app?
Great. Please start with the on the Apple Store. It's Live a Moment, all one word. And the Android will be coming out soon. You can get in touch with us and stay and watch us through our Facebook page, which is Live a Moment, all one word as well. And Instagram is __ Live a Moment _. And my name is Deborah, and you can reach me at liveamoment.com as well. And I'm so grateful to have this conversation, and that both you and Sunny and are excited to be a part of this. I mean, I think it's hysterical that you literally mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast exactly our goal for next month and our first major campaign, which is, let's pause at the beginning of the work week. Let's send the love, let's align so that we can help the governments, do a better job for us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Deborah. And Sunny, where can we find you? Where can the audience of Mindalia TV find you?
You can find me at Sunny at let'simagine.live, and also on ABC News Talk, and in wholelifetimesmagazine.com. So we'll be doing that. And then you can also find me next week with you, Angel, same bat time, same bat channel.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. We always have a lot of fun. Thank you very much for being with us today, Deborah. It's been a blessing, a big, massive blessing. What an amazing journey we've had together for 1 hour with all of our audience. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Deborah.
And Sunny, again, thank you for being again with us, with Mindalia TV's audience again. And again, this is Angel Ribo with Mindalia TV. Thank you very much for being with us today, and hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye, all.